Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we'll be checking out a whole bunch of miscellaneous myths from overly sarcastic production. This is going to be Perseus, Icarus, Pygmalion, and Galatea, if I had said that right, by Bellerophon. I'm not sure if I said any of those correctly, so I'm going to assume I did it, because par for course at this point. More importantly, this is a whole pile of myths that Red is going through, and I just am here for this right now, man. I did all of the Legends summarized, and while we're getting closer to the next episode, Journey to the West, coming out, it is not here yet, so this is my coping mechanism. This is coping. Is that healthy? Yes, actually, I think it is. So I'm going to do it anyways. More importantly, link below videos. Hit it up. Let's get started. First up, we have Perseus.
So, this is the first video in what'll probably be a longish series.
Oh, this is
of
actually the first one.
miscellaneous
I thought it was just the first
Now,
one.
initially, I'll primarily be focusing on Greek mythology, as it's one of the mythologies that's been more influential to popular culture in the past.
Only Greek? I'm pretty sure half of the things in just the initial playlist weren't. Unless it was intended to be Greek, but then they just branched out into everything as they went.
Millennia or so. But I think we all know how bad I am at staying focused on one subject at a time,
Called
so
it.
we might roam pretty far afield in this series. Don't
Which
get
actually makes it more
disoriented if we
interesting.
leave off in Thebes and start up again in Central America. Now, to start us off simply,
actually
I'll be
know nothing
covering a
about
myth that you're
Central
probably
American
all
lore.
at least vaguely familiar with, mostly because references to it got catapulted back into popular culture within the past few years.
Yeah, I
It's the
missed
story
those
of
books, but that
Perseus
makes
and
sense.
Medusa. Now, as is often the case in Greek mythology, Perseus' story begins long before Perseus actually does. In fact,
Wait, what did that say? I think that said, yeah, the beginning. King is a dick. Diane has a rough day. Destiny objects to being thwarted. Zeus takes matters in his own hands. Oh my god, that is never a good phrase. I mean, we all know the meme. Greek history. Sorry, Greek mythology. Greek mythology of Zeus wasn't being a dick. Zeus doing it himself, that's probably gonna have some fun there. Oh my. And then finally Perseus is born. Wow. So Zeus got involved before this even started.
does. In fact, it begins with a prophecy.
Oh my god.
Now, this
Actually put the
particular
dramatic
prophecy isn't as
chipmunk
cushy
music.
as the last one we
Oh my god. They have an entire list of it. Terrible to cushy. The prophecy cushiness. Murder your dad. Bang your oh yeah, Oedipus. That's literally the prophecy in Oedipus. Take the ring to Mordor. Really? Oh yeah, I guess that would have been not be a nice one. Technically, yeah, that's still worse. The entire Oedipus side, literally the complex for it. Followed by become Trigon's gate to Earth, Raven from Teen Titans. Vanquish Lord Voldemort. Die in the process. Yeah, that last part, that last line was never really mentioned till the end. Harry Potter, of course. Bring ballast to the Force. Well, this one becomes less and less relevant the more the everything gets made. I'm not going to blame Disney on that one. Legends did it too. Play card games with your arch nemesis forever. Yu-Gi-Oh! Be invincible, but die if you try to fight. I actually don't know which one that is. Become king, although Banquo's kids will succeed you. Oh, wait, that's not the cushy one? Because I'm pretty sure this is... Oh, I forgot which one it is. It's the one that happens, I think, in either Scotland or England. It's the one where the lady says, out. Oh, Macbeth, that's the one. Become legendary Super Saiyan. Okay, I get that. That's pretty cushy. But how the hell is this one so high up there? Because it literally was a trap. Because it's like, yeah, you think it's cushy, but then I think your kids had to die because you die and you don't have kids. I actually don't remember if they had kids and were murdered. You know, it probably does change on the variant. Found Rome. Be remembered forever. Yeah. Romulus and Remus. That's actually pretty damn nice, yeah.
we dealt with. In this case, the king Icarus
Whoa,
was told by
are you
an
sure?
oracle that he was doomed to die at the hands of his grandson.
Did you just say, did I stutter? Are you sure? Sorry, there's two different ways to treat oracles in Roman mythology. It's, oh my god, I must treat them exactly like they said and follow it to the letter and then doom myself because I did so. Or they're literally just telling you actual good information immediately. And if you were not dumb enough to listen, or dumb enough to listen, take your pick, then it would have gone fine. It's literally the difference between Oedipus, where they listen and bad things happen, or, well, Cassandra, and they didn't listen and bad things happen. Except for the one time they did, and they grabbed him from the field he lived in, and yeah, that's a previous video, but yeah, Cassandra, they listened to her one time, and that fucked everyone over, and every time they ignored her, it didn't. Ever. That never happened. It's not like the name is synonymous with being someone who says the truth and is ignored. I'm having fun with this one.
Acrisius took this news about as well as you'd expect, and
way out of
decided
this.
his only course of action was to lock his childless daughter Danae in an underground cell and basically leave her there to die.
Wait, what did that say? Gotta think a way
His
out
only
of
course
this.
of action
Hey, Dad, everything okay? Just randomly dropping in.
was to lock his childless
You are the worst dad ever. It's up there.
daughter Danae in an underground cell and basically leave her there to
Ungrateful kids these days don't even remember how Cronus solved his kid's prophecy. Yeah, remember how that went for him? I'm gonna just put it out there and say, I don't think he liked where he ended up. Thus, the problem with prophecies.
die of old age. You know, I don't often say this, but why don't you just kill her? But Zeus, who never met a mortal woman he didn't want to make sweet, sweet arrows to, spotted the beautiful
I'm gonna be late again. Oh my god, I don't even. Oh, of course Zeus did. So this is what he meant by taking it into his own hands, huh?
Danae in her prison, and unwilling to let something like eternal solitary confinement
One
stop
sec.
him, turned himself into a rain of gold and showered himself into her cell, whereupon he made her pregnant and left. Man, isn't that just like a deity? You can bet he's not going to pay child support either. So Danae has a kid, and her dad
Ah! Oh, hey there, little guy. Oh my god, the face. The face, the eyes going down. I need to see that again. Zoop! Gold.
and
Pregnant.
left. Man, isn't that just like a deity? You can bet he's not going to pay
Wait, what did that say at the very end? Say Celine? Can't remember. I'll probably just go back this way.
child, and
One
turned
sec.
himself into a rain of gold and showered himself into her cell, whereupon he made her pregnant and left. Man,
Oh, it said see ya. That's actually pretty funny.
isn't that just like a deity? You can bet
Especially
he's not going to
Zeus,
pay child
yeah.
support either. So Danae has a kid, and her dad panics because of the prophecy,
Yep.
and stuffs her and the kid into a trunk and throws it into the ocean. Jesus! With the kind of father figures this kid has, it's going to be a miracle if he doesn't grow up to be a psychopath. So Danae and her son, whose name, as you've
Sorry
probably
about this,
already
kiddo.
guessed, is Perseus, drift ashore on the tiny island of Seriphus, where they're taken in
Wow.
by a childless fisherman and his wife. So Perseus grows up with 3 parents and 1 absentee godfather, and his life is pretty chill.
Huh. You know, I actually expected her to die by this point. Mom, how come none of the other kids have 2 moms? Because you're special. That's not what makes him special. You get to decide that when you raise him. Oh my, oh, snark. I'm sorry, just the idea of talking back to Zeus makes it incredibly amazing to me.
Until the king, Polydictes, decides that Perseus' mom has got it going on and decides to make her marry him. However,
Hey there, wait, what did it say? Ever met a king before? Yeah, technically, and, very low bar, actually.
Danae
Last person I slept with was Zeus. Yeah. Although, for what I've heard, he went off like a lightning bolt, so maybe it's not a bad comparison.
refuses, and Polydictes is too scared of Perseus to press
Is that guy bothering you, Mom? Oh, dear God, they drew in the arms. Oh, look, living proof.
the issue. So, like any sane ruler, he decides to get Perseus out of the way by sending the lad on a quest that'll almost certainly kill him, and that way he'll be able to get with Danae without any interference. Polydictes convinces Perseus to go out
I love how this is going to go so obviously backfiring. But also, it's probably the best king figure so far, because the dad was still worse. You like proving yourself. Do I? The worst part is he probably actually likes this guy because of all this stupid shit.
and slay the Gorgon Medusa, a woman who had once been beautiful, but after she and Poseidon got busy in one of Athena's temples, she was cursed by the goddess to have badass snake hair and also be so hideous as to turn anyone who looks at her into stone. Modern
Maybe I'm just misunderstood. Also, there is actually an interpretation, considering in Greek mythology they did have women's shelters, for example, and they always had I think it was the head of Medusa on it. So there's a lot of reinterpretations that this might have been meant for 2 different audiences at the same time. Men to be afraid, and women to know that they can make men afraid if they fuck around. Kind of both at the same time.
interpretations usually make her super hot anyway, but hey, whatever. So Perseus, young, hot, and full of
I mean, if we've seen anything on the internet, how hot someone actually is doesn't matter. If it's their thing, it's their thing. Because it's the internet. Literal fetishes of rocks. Just boulders. There is probably an only boulder site, and people... get their rocks off to it. I'm sorry. I was thinking about saying it. I didn't realize how bad of a pun it was before I said it, and I apologize. That was such a lowbrow pun, even for me. Like, we have hit a new channel low here, and I feel actual shame for this. Didn't think that would happen. But yeah, apparently I can feel shame. Did not want to learn that. All right, adventure, Sud. What? Sud, yes.
Of crippling naivete, ventures out into the great wide world to find him a deadly Gorgon. However, thanks to some divine nepotism, he's given a
You are not going out dressed like that. Whoa, easy. Oh my god, they actually pulled the...
leg up by the various Greek gods to give him some magic items to make the quest
Sub-armor, definitely. Sword, maybe could. Oh, his dad. They're literally just like, kid, take this. Oh my god, they actually just went this dangerous to go alone, take this.
actually possible. Hermes gives him a sword and his winged sandals, and the
And it
thief
is
gives him a
actually a
mirror
sword.
shield, because apparently petrifying ugliness only petrifies you if you look at it head on. Then they tell him that he needs to visit the Grey Sisters in order to...
How are you so unprepared? This might be an awkward time, but that's this, but where am I going? You know, the irony here is they probably would have saved everyone a lot of hassle if they just hadn't told him where. Mostly because he probably would have just gone around and done the 12 labors of Hercules without realizing he did it, because that's kind of what it sounds like is happening.
find out where the Gorgons actually live.
Like just
So he
accidentally
sneaks
looking
on
for the
over there and
Gorgon.
gets the Grey Sisters to tell him where the Medusa lives by holding their eyeball hostage. It makes just as
What?
much sense in context. Anyway, after marking the
I feel I missed a few things. Garden of Hera, Grey Sisters, Reverse Centaurs. That sounds incredibly disappointing. Big Rock.
location
God.
on his map, Perseus goes to the next quest marker, which happens to be the Garden of Hera, who's oddly cool
Oh.
with his presence, despite her typical reaction to Zeus's kids. Anyway, the nymphs of the garden give Perseus
Wait, she didn't fuck him over? Yeah, that's surprising. Considering literally Hera and Hercules and, you know, she hurt him pretty damn bad, man. That's, usually what you expect. Brave hero? Looks a little spaced. He'll be fine. And he's just going, oh, because nymphs, yeah.
a sack to hold Medusa's head and a magic helmet to make him invisible.
Magic helmet.
Magic helmet.
Magic helmet.
Guess which one
Oh
of those
my
is probably going to be more useful?
Magic helmet.
Now, I wish I could tell you that Perseus and Medusa had some awesome final showdown, maybe with lightning and rains of fire or something, but Perseus is a pragmatic hero, so he sneaks in while Medusa's asleep and chops off her head. Well, that was easy. But this myth is
Really?
missing something. Well, few
That's actually how that went? Oh, see, I've always seen the depictions being more a confrontation where he ended up doing it, not the entire sneaking part. Although I guess it makes sense, considering all the other heroes who do it have one of two ways to do it. Either they're Hercules and they got so horribly screwed over that they just power through shit, and they're also creative. Or they're like Odysseus, where they are incredibly creative to power through shit. You see where I'm going with this one, right?
things, actually. Where's the drama? The final showdown? Could we maybe throw in a princess or something? Ask and ye shall receive. As Perseus is flying home,
Technically,
he spots
he's
a
the
beautiful
prince.
princess, whose
Oh,
name is
nope, wait.
Andromeda, chained to a rock by the ocean. When he pops down to ask her what's up, she tells him that her mother managed to piss off the ocean itself, and it sent a sea monster to ravage the land. They can only make it stop if they sacrifice Andromeda. Now, Perseus does what any red-blooded Greco-Roman hero would do and vows to slay the sea monster and save the princess.
Really? Because I would be okay with slaying the people at that point. Because, like, you know, every day human sacrifice. Go on the sea monster side. Also, what did it just say? Seriously? What is with all these parents? Couldn't tell you. Oh my god, yes.
Perseus does what any red-blooded Greco-Roman hero
All right, just sit tight.
would do and vows to slay the sea monster and save the princess.
Oh,
And he
jeez.
does.
Oh.
Okay, fine.
And randomly Andromeda's just standing on his corpse with him? Sure. She's definitely embellishing, but frankly, I don't care. It's cool. I'm just a little weirded out the fact that, you know, everyone hears about Medusa and Perseus, but apparently the cool fight was this. Sure. Okay. I guess people just got more stuff. Okay, never mind. Hot Snake Lady. Yeah. It's the internet. That's exactly why that probably became more popular. I know the internet's more recent. I think the exact reasoning, though, stays the same for every generation. Fight me.
Happy. So Perseus returns home to Polydictes and delivers Medusa's head to him, unsurprisingly petrifying him and his entire court of bad guys in one fell swoop. Then he and Andromeda get married, the fisherman who saved him as a baby becomes king, and everyone ends up happy. Oh, but what about the
Oh! Wait. What? The what?
fell swoop? Then he and Andromeda get married,
Okay.
the fisherman who saved him as a baby
This is unexpected. Usually Greek myths, when they become king, are... And then he becomes king, followed by tragedy later. I guess that's how they got around it. He didn't go for more power than he wanted and gave it to the guy who helped him. Technically, that still makes him a prince, but an adopted prince, even though he's actually a prince, but, you know, a cast out exile prince who married a princess from a place she's probably exiled to due to the entire being left to die aspect. This is a lot weirder than I realized.
He becomes king, and everyone ends up happy. Oh, but what about the prophecy? Well, see, a few years later, King Acrisius visits the basically Olympics in the city of Larissa, whereupon Perseus accidentally beans him with a discus. The end.
And next up, we have Icarus, which I actually know about because there's literally only one myth as far as I know about him, flying too close to the sun. So, yeah, let's see how this goes.
It's
Unless
always
there's
fun
anything
when
I'm
a myth
missing.
gets co-opted by popular culture as a universal symbol of something or other. The Achilles heel is a metaphor for a single fatal weakness, David and Goliath to represent the archetypal underdog story, cutting the Gordian knot to mean taking the brute force solution, Pandora's box is now the catch-all name for any kind of sealed evil in a can, and possibly the most commonly known example would be Icarus flying too close to the sun. Now, the context for this story is more complicated than the story itself.
Now, that's interesting because the context, at least in the modern term, is always, hey, fly too close to the sun. It means you tried to do something beyond yourself and you failed for your crushing hubris. But if she's leading into it this way, I'm almost assuming that's not the original context. Huh.
Because it ties in with a different myth, the story of Theseus and the Minotaur. I'll go into
Yeah.
more detail later, but the relevant backstory here is that King Minos commissioned Daedalus to build
Bang. Moo. They actually have him mooing. I need a permanent solution, old man. Alrighty. Oddly enough, didn't involve murder.
him a labyrinth to imprison the Minotaur, and then used his fancy labyrinth to kill people he
I'm going to use this to kill people. That voids the warranty. And it's still just mooing.
didn't like. But in order for this to work, nobody could learn
But how can I rely on using it like that? If people know the way out, please don't use my labyrinth for evil. He's going to use the labyrinth for evil.
how the labyrinth itself worked, so he imprisoned Daedalus and
Got
his
it.
son
You're
Icarus in a
arrested.
tower so they could never reveal its secrets. So Daedalus and Icarus are stuck in a tower, and they can't leave by land or by sea because Minos keeps track of all transport. But Daedalus is a brilliant inventor, so of course he's gonna come up
So, Dad, this is fun and all, but when are we leaving? Give me a week. Tops. I love how they basically made him go full Tony Stark here, including the goggles and the blowtorch. And really? I'm pretty sure I recognize that tool. It's so you can draw perfect circles on a sheet. I love it. I absolutely love this. He's got part of a tracing tool and a blowtorch at the same time.
up with something. So Daedalus constructs
And
wings
he
for
did.
himself and Icarus, made of feathers and wax. And before you ask, no, they don't work in real life. Trust me, I've tried. So Daedalus and Icarus strap the
Oddly enough, though, the very basic concept among them, minus the flapping thing, is kind of the principle between hang gliders, so it's not incredibly far-fetched, it's just mostly far-fetched. Yeah, I mean, you don't gain height in a hang glider without some kind of propellant force, but for sheer gliding, it's not a horrible idea. They're like 3 times too small and probably even more on top. I'd say 10 times for good measure. But the entire principle isn't wrong. It's just not how it should be escalated. Or executed, I guess.
wings on, but Daedalus warns Icarus to be careful.
Read
If he
the
flies
operating
too
manual.
low, the sea spray will make the wings too heavy to fly, and if he flies too high, the heat from the sun will melt the wax and make the wings fall apart. If you're looking for symbolism, you can think of this as warning Icarus against both complacency and hubris. Flying too low will make him lose the ability to fly at all, but flying too high will make him crash and burn. But Icarus is a teenager, so of
Yeah.
course as soon as they get flying, he immediately does that thing where he thinks he's immortal because he hasn't been alive long enough for anything really bad to happen to him, so he starts flying higher and higher. The heat from the sun melts the wax, and Icarus's wings fall apart. So Icarus falls into the ocean and drowns.
I failed as a parent. Dad, I did that thing you told me not to do. Yeah.
Which sucks, but on the plus side, it gave us a kick-ass metaphor for the folly of pride and a really good line in a Hamilton song.
So while apparently it was still a metaphor for pride with Icarus, it was also a metaphor for complacency, which I actually wasn't aware of that part. So it was still what it looks like now, but the extra added depth is really neat. Just, sorry. It's a small one, but I didn't even know that little detail. It makes sense in hindsight. But, I mean, hindsight, me. I barely see what's ahead of me, let alone what's behind me.
Man, girls are so complicated.
Yes.
Well, I mean, people are complicated, but
Yes.
girls are specifically taught to be complicated, especially when we interact with dudes. There's this whole song and dance we're taught to do about not communicating our negative emotions, but also bottling them up to the point where they explode, but only when someone else notices that we're having.
Okay, this seems incredibly unrelated to any person she's probably actually thinking about right now. Are you okay? Well, now that you mention it. Oh, God. This seems like it's going to be relevant somehow. Also, this intro bad. Wow. Wait, are girls actually taught to do that? I am so glad my wife is straightforward.
them first because somehow that's how we know they care, and ugh. Not gonna lie, I don't really get any of this stuff, but from what I've seen, it's pretty crazy. Now,
Yes.
this whole bizarre courtship ritual can get pretty disheartening, which has led to a
Tsundere.
long-standing fantasy in human society of just making your ideal boy or girlfriend. No muss, no fuss, no misinterpreted sidelong glances and awkward coffee dates. Just call on the magic of signs or divine intervention and craft yourself the perfect partner. And this
Wait, people have awkward coffee dates? No, wait. Date I repressed. I remember that. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
is everywhere. You watch TV as a kid, you remember this episode. Now, this is an idea that recurs very easily. All it takes is one tragic breakup and boom, suddenly you're sketching blueprints for your black belt ninja super girlfriend. But there's one
Black belt ninja super girlfriend? You are going to treat me right. Are they literally just drawing down Hercules? Basically, yeah. Although, that's probably in hindsight the worst possible way you can do that, considering how that went.
But there's one story that's kind of the example behind all the build-a-girlfriend tropes, and although it's been adapted for modern audiences and re-examined in a million different ways, sometimes it's best to stick with the classics. This is the myth of Pygmalion and Galatea. So Pygmalion's a famous ivory sculptor, known for both his skill and his unconventional taste in women, namely that he doesn't have one. You might be confused as to why this was a controversial subject in ancient Greece of all places, but it's not so much that Pygmalion doesn't like women, he just doesn't like women who do things like talk and have sex. I don't know how to tell you this, buddy, but
That's kind of the two big
women who
things.
do things like talk
So I was thinking, I actually have him throwing up.
and have sex.
Maybe we could go back to She actually is still hitting on him, and he's just dying on the floor. Oh my god.
I don't know how to tell you this, buddy, but we do have a word for that now. Several words, actually. Well, regardless of his thoughts on women,
Pretty sure that's sex repulsed. And misogyny. Or just hating the sound of anyone's voice, which, admittedly, silence is nice, says the guy speaking constantly. The irony is not lost on me.
Pygmalion still has a great appreciation for beauty, and deciding that no woman alive could possibly meet his standards, Pygmalion does what he does best, and makes one. Now, this statue is beautiful, but more than beautiful, she's also Pygmalion's literal perfect woman. Gorgeous, quiet, flawless, non-judgmental, incapable of speech.
This is great. I can just keep talking. Oh god, yeah. I see. I know a little bit about this story, how she comes to life, but I'm kind of thinking now that that's literally the absolute last thing he wants, and if anyone else would treat that as an amazing thing, he would treat it like a curse. If that's actually how that goes, I'm laughing my ass off.
Yeah, not breathing.
More people don't do
Sorry,
this.
Pygmalion, there's no way to spin this that makes you look good. So Pygmalion falls in love with the
Yeah.
statue, and much like the archetypal
Well, you were made for me. I'm kind of your only option. She's a
basement dweller, dresses his waifu up in fancy clothing, goes on dates with her, tells her all his problems, and gives her an
Oh my god, he's a weeb. Think about all the stupid stories out there about the person who married a body pillow, because that shouldn't be a thing, but it is a very common thing apparently. Like, it didn't occur to me because of the entire sculpting aspect, but no, it's literally just an anime figure, but done initially by someone who can actually carve. Also, if it's out of ivory, that's literally just you. Elephant teeth, tusk, whatever.
her name, Galatea, meaning white as milk. But of course, Pygmalion isn't truly happy, as even though he loves Galatea,
wrong,
since she's,
darling?
you know, not.
Oh, nothing. It just feel. Is he literally talking to himself here?
But of course, Pygmalion isn't truly happy, as even though he loves Galatea, since she's.
He actually put the quotes around when he was talking in her voice. Oh, nothing. It just feels like the relationship is very one-sided. Yeah.
You know, not real, she can't love him back. Now, normally this doesn't seem to be a problem for the waifu community, but hey, guess the dude's a romantic.
Called it.
Anyway, the festival of Aphrodite rolls around, and in between all the pleas for beauty and true love and all that jazz, Pygmalion begs the goddess to bring his waifu to life. Bring her to life.
No. I think she got it right the first time.
Aphrodite, always a sucker for a pretty face, deems Galatea fine enough to warrant her efforts, and grants Pygmalion's wish, making
Let's be completely honest here. She's a sucker for a pretty face, but at the same time, she also is very jealous for the pretty face. It usually goes badly.
Galatea into a real woman, so now she can do things like talk and have sex. You kids have fun.
Next up, we have Bellerophon, which I know this involves fighting a chimera, but I don't know actually anything about this myth surrounding it, which is weird because I thought I did, and then when I was trying to think about it, I was like, nope, no, I got nothing. Huh.
You know, for all the popularity of anti-heroes, modern literature is remarkably black and white. Characters are either good or bad, and even if it looks like they're somewhere in the middle, you know they'll end up doing something that tips the scales one way or the other. And then there are the flawed characters, those moral
I'm no hero. These kittens were just passing through.
paragons with one or two character quirks cracking their pedestal.
You see, I'm traumatized and hard to talk to. Therefore, not perfect. Why do I feel like this is a reference to Samus for some reason? It's probably the ponytail. Granted, if that was blonde instead of purple, it'd be almost 1-1.
Ever so slightly. But those flaws rarely serve to actually hurt them in any way, assuming they're even real flaws at all. Yeah, here's a hint. If the worst thing you can say about your hero is that he just likes his friends too much, that's not a character flaw. So today we'll be looking at a hero.
I mean, yeah, I would put a little qualification on that. If he likes his friends too much because he's too loyal, that's not a character flaw. If he likes his friends too much because he's an absolute stalker and they are absolutely repulsed by him because, oh my god, dude, stop hiding in my closet. Okay, maybe that is a character flaw. Basically, Ember. That's literally Blitz from Hell of a Boss, I just realized. Huh.
Hero whose flaw actually was his downfall, a heroic lad by the name of Bellerophon, or Bellerophontes, depending on who you ask. So Bellerophon has the distinction of being Poseidon's son, and as a consequence is a stellar equestrian. Yeah, I'm afraid
Yeah, because the hippogriff was... Not the hippogriff. Was it the hippogriff? No, it's the one that's half horse, half seahorse. I guess fish, so not a seahorse, oddly enough. Yeah, horses. That's weird. Makes sense, because there's a lot of horse mythologies in the sea, but just weird that's the thing that came up at all.
outside the world of young adult fiction, being a demigod only earns you the lamest of your deific parents' abilities. But his most prominent feature is his ability to constantly get himself exiled by pissing off the resident king. First, he gets himself exiled by killing someone, either his own brother or some rando, the story is unclear, and he hikes over to King Proteus to be cleansed of the crime. But while he's there, Proteus' wife tries to seduce him, and when he's like, nah, she instead accuses him of trying to seduce her, which prompts King Proteus to kick him out. Proteus sends Bellerophon to
Oh, at that point, though, it's literally him knowing exactly what's going on. Because if someone tried to seduce the king's wife, normally the response by every king is murder. His is just please leave. Probably because, one, he's another prince. Two, the king knows he just gets the kid out of there. Because there's really no good option at this point. Message for you. Just become a messenger.
to his father-in-law, King Iobates, with a message telling the king to kill Bellerophon.
Shoot
Iobates
the
takes in
messenger.
Bellerophon as a guest, then opens the letter and learns he's supposed to kill him instead. But unfortunately, it's against the rules of hospitality to murder
Oh, they're actually bringing up the rules of hospitality? See, I know that's the entire thing in Greek mythology and also Greek culture for a time. It's just most stories revolve around not following it. And then showing why you should, but then they still not do it. Boy, this timing is poor. Also, so the king wants someone else to kill him, probably to avoid blowback.
your house guests, so Iobates kicks out Bellerophon and tells him to go slay the chimera
Comfortable.
that's been terrorizing his kingdom in the hopes that maybe the monster will solve his little conflict of interest. So
Oh my god, he's actually hoping the monster wins. What? Yeah, no, that actually makes perfect sense. There's a very solid mythology, just precedent for sending people out to die where you don't want to do it yourself. Not just the previous one with Perseus being sent out to kill the Gorgon, and then also killing the sea monster, but just in basic history. I was going to think either Romulus and Remus being left and abandoned and then raised by a wolf, or I think Moses being left on the Nile to float away. Those are two examples from mythology that show, okay, we're not going to deal with this problem. Let's just hope they survive. In Moses' case, or hope they die in Romulus and Remus' case. Or hell, you can even just drop that into Snow White of abandon them to the dwarves. Wasn't always intentionally the dwarves, but abandon them. Because that was basically a death sentence. It's also why lone wolves are a death sentence technically, because they're literally left to die, but details.
after that needlessly complicated setup, we finally have our conflict, Bellerophon versus the Chimera. Now, in case you're unfamiliar, the Chimera is a fire-breathing fusion of several animals.
Wait, fire
A goat
breathe?
forms the body, a snake makes the tail.
And I'll form the head.
Oh my, you
No,
really?
but seriously, she has a lion head. Dang, that reference was serendipitous.
Go watch the new Voltron. It's fantastic. And also on Netflix. I've watched the new Voltron. I got into like the second season. I was like, okay, the first season was better. Second season was okay. And then I heard after that it went weird. I heard it got good at the end, but I'm not sure if that's real or I imagined it. And I don't want to find out because Netflix shows usually go one of two ways. And if it starts good, it doesn't always end good. then there's just things like Romantic Killer, which were just kind of amazing the entire time, and I just loved it.
Anyway, on his way to probably die, Bellerophon bumps into a seer, Polyidus, who, continuing the trend of characters only serving to redirect the plot without actually contributing, points Bellerophon in the direction of the Temple of Athena, where he instructs the lad to go take a nap. So Bellerophon does, and while he sleeps, Athena drops a golden bridle next to him and tells him where to find the Pegasus. Now, most of you probably know what the Pegasus is, but his origins are a little wackier than you might think.
Oh?
Yeah, even wackier than that. See, Pegasus was born...
I'm sorry, what?
Pegasus is, but his origins are a little wackier than you might think. Yeah.
I don't know which is weirder, the horse just being there with the glass, or the bird going, oh yeah, I'm gonna squawk all night. Oh my God. Why?
Even wackier than that. See, Pegasus was born from the Medusa's severed head. When our buddy Perseus cut it off, Pegasus sprang fully formed from her neck stump along with his brother Chrysaor. Now, you've probably never heard of Chrysaor, which is mostly because we barely know anything about him. His name means he who has a golden sword, and he's sometimes shown as a giant, but he's also been represented as a giant winged boar. He hardly features in any known stories, and people have cobbled together characters with his name from his grab bag of traits. Sometimes he's a winged dude with golden armor, sometimes he's a tusk monster. I don't know, man. Someone get this kid a solid character.
Wait, is one of the most solid characterizations of the guy literally Saint Seiya? If that's not Saint Seiya, I don't know what that is, because the golden armor, man.
He's a winged dude with golden armor, sometimes he's a tusk monster. I don't know, man. Someone get this kid a solid characterization stat. No, not you, Saint Seiya. You had your chance. That hairstyle is unforgivable. But anyway, Pegasus, fancy winged horse, you know the drill. Bellerophon drops the bridle on him, makes an appropriate sacrifice to Poseidon, and boom, instant besties. So Bellerophon hops onto Pegasus and they fly off to the Chimera's lair. But unfortunately, the Chimera is really stupid strong, and Bellerophon can't put a scratch on her. But all the fire breathing gives him an idea. He finds a large block of lead, presumably somewhere in hammer space, and sticks it to the end of his spear. Then he jams that sucker down the Chimera's throat, and when she breathes fire, it melts the lead, suffocating her. Yay? So...
Ow? I was unaware that's how that ended. That is disturbing. Also, I'm kind of surprised they didn't bring the body back, because, you know, proof.
Bellerophon scoots on back to King Iobates, who immediately sends him off to do more perilous questing in the hopes that maybe this time it'll stick. But Bellerophon cheerfully prevails over his next two challenges.
Our boy can do nothing wrong. Followed by him probably doing even more wrong, considering he's already kind of done multiple murders. So even though he was kind of framed for the one, he kind of earned it in other places. Oh my God.
He is defeating both the Salimi tribe and the Amazons. Iobates decides to stop screwing around.
And the Amazons, really? Oh. Yeah, he won again.
And orders his guards to kill Bellerophon, but after a confusing incident involving some divine intervention from Poseidon and a whole bunch of naked women, Iobates finally gives up on trying to kill.
I'm sorry, what? What led the king is like an embarrassing incident with Poseidon and then the naked women, and that's what got him to give up on killing him? I feel I'm missing a lot of story that happened there. What the hell? If anyone knows in the comments, actually let me know, because I'm very curious right now.
Kill Bellerophon, reasoning that anyone that lucky has to have at least one god on his side. Iobates gives Bellerophon half his kingdom and his daughter's hand in marriage, very classic, and all seems well. But remember how I said Bellerophon has a flaw? Besides ending up with the lamest superpower ever, Bellerophon has an unfortunate tendency towards hubris, and all his victories only serve to fuel that particular fire. Eventually, Bellerophon starts wondering why he doesn't get to live on Olympus, given that he's so great and everything. Then he remembers that he has a flying horse, puts two and two together, and hops on Pegasus.
Why didn't I think of this before? Did the horses? Yeah, the horse just changed color of the wings, I think. Huh.
With destination Mount Olympus. Unfortunately, this pisses off Zeus, because apparently only he gets to indiscriminately invade other people's homes, and he sends down a gadfly, which stings Pegasus and causes the horse to throw Bellerophon off its back. Our hero plummets to earth, felled by his own hubris, or more accurately, by Zeus's hubris.
A little respect, please. Oh my God, it's literally just... In this case, Zeus is literally going, get off my property, whippersnapper. Oh, Zeus has two modes. Zeus, because there's phrases I don't want to say on YouTube, or old man who's crotchety.
Hubris getting territorial, and thus ends the tale of the hero Bellerophon. He died as he lived, getting sent places by other people with no real agency of his own.
And that was a bunch of myths that I apparently knew much less about than I thought, except for Icarus, which was only slightly less than I knew, but it was the shortest one here because everything there had so much information. Seriously, these are the short ones that they're doing. Red is going into so much detail that I'm just thinking here, oh, dear God, this is awesome. Sorry, I'm fanboying right now, but I just love this stuff. I love Greek myth. I love myths in general because they're so freaking cool to see how people thought about them. And then, especially if you compare it to how it's being presented, to what it was intended as, and how we take it now, this is why I really need to get to the diatribes when they do those here, because red and blue together, going into all the detail and just going exhaustive, is literally me bait. I'm probably going to do those for the live stream because, frankly, I just don't want to wait. I just want to do them. More importantly, you guys know the deal. Link below, original video. Hit it up. And I'll probably be back with more because this is so freaking cool, man. I know, I'm geeking out. This is good. I love this shit. See you guys in the next one. Adios.